Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. What is the distance between the points of intersection of the curves y equals to x times x negative 4 and y equals to x positive 6? Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, here we have two curves, y equals to x times x negative 4, and another one is y equals to x positive 6. Okay, now let me take the first one, that is y equals to x times x negative 4. Y equals to, let me distribute this x to this x and negative 4, then I'm getting x square and negative 4x. Okay, here we have a quadratic function and the coefficient of x square over here is 1. It's a positive value. So the leading coefficient of this quadratic function is a positive value. Okay, since it's a quadratic function with leading coefficient as a positive value, so the graph of this quadratic function will be a vertical parabola which opens up. So this is a graph we have for this quadratic function. Now let me consider the other equation, that is y equals to x positive 6. It is a linear equation. Actually, it is the equation of line in slope-intercept form. So here, the slope is a coefficient of x, that is 1. So slope is 1, that is a positive value. Since the slope of this line is a positive value, the graph of this equation will be a rising line. Okay, now let me sketch the rising line as a graph for the second equation over here. And also I have drawn a rising line over here. That is, when you look at this line from left side to right side, it's going up. So it's called rising line. And also I have sketched the graph of this line so that it's intersecting the graph of the first equation. Because the question says, what is the distance between the points of intersection of the curves? Since the question says the points of intersection of the curves means, so the two curves will be intersecting. Here the graph of the first one, the graph of the second one are intersecting at 2 points. This is the first point of intersection. This is the second point of intersection. We have to find the distance between the 2 points of intersection according to the question. For that, we need the 2 points of intersection over here. What do we have to do for that? For that, we have to solve the system of two equations we have over here. So let me write y equals to y to solve the given system. For this y, let me consider the stuff in the first equation, that is 1x square or just x square negative 4x. Okay, let me write over here. For the y on the right side, let me consider the stuff in the second equation, that is 1x positive 6 or simply x positive 6. Okay, now we have a quadratic equation in the variable x. To solve for x in this quadratic equation, we can get this quadratic equation standard form, that is ax square positive bx positive c equals to 0. That is, we have to get everything on one side of the equation. On the other side, we must have 0. Okay, now let me get rid of the terms on the right side over here. Let me subtract x from both sides, and also let me subtract 6 from both sides when I do. So this positive x, negative x will cancel out. Positive 6, negative 6 will cancel out. I am getting x square. When I combine negative 4x and negative 1x, I am getting negative 5x and negative 6 equals to 0. Okay, now we can try to solve for x in this quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, to solve this quadratic equation by factoring, we have to multiply the constant of negative 6 by the coefficient of x square, that is 1. When I multiply this negative 6 by this 1, I am getting negative 6. Now, I have to get two factors over here so that the product of two factors is equal to negative 6 and the sum of the two factors is equal to the coefficient of x, that is negative 5. I think negative 6 and positive 1 will work. When I multiply them, I am getting negative 6. When I add them, I am getting negative 5, that is the coefficient of x. Further, I have to divide both these factors by the coefficient of x square, 1. Even when I divide them by 1, still I am getting negative 6 and positive 1. Usually, when we solve a quadratic equation, we'll be getting two values for x. Now, to get the two values of x in this quadratic equation, I have to change the sign of these two factors. Okay, now to get the first value of x, I have to change the sign of the first factor. It's already negative. When I change the sign, it will be positive 6. Now to get the second value of x, I have to change the sign of this factor. It's already positive 1. When I change the sign, it will be negative 1. Okay, here I got the x coordinates at the 2 points of intersection over here. Now to get the corresponding y coordinate, I have to plug in x equals to 6 and x equals to negative 1, either in the first equation or in the second equation. But if we can use the second equation, it will be easier for us because in the first equation we have square for x. Okay, now let me take the first equation, that is y is equal to 1x positive 6 or just x positive 6. In this one, what we have to do is we have to plug in x equals to 6, the first value, and x equals to negative 1, the second value. Okay, when I plug in x equals to 6 into this one, what do I get? I'm getting y equals to 6 positive 6, that is y equals to 12. Okay, now let me plug in negative 1 for x over here, then I'm getting y equals to negative 1 positive 6. Then I'm getting y equals to 5. Okay, when x equals to 6, I'm getting y equals to 12. That is 6, 12 is 1 point of intersection. And the second point of intersection is a negative 1, 5. Okay, now let me take this negative 1 comma 5 over here, and the second point of intersection 6 comma 12 over here. Now we have to find the distance between these 2 points. Okay, since we are trying to get the distance between these 2 points, we can use a distance formula. Okay, before that, let me erase the stuff we have over here and continue the problem. Okay, first let me write the formula to get the distance between the 2 points. That is d equals to square root of x2 negative x1 the whole square positive y2 negative y1 the whole square. So this is the formula we have to get the distance between the 2 points. Here the first point should be taken as x1 y1 and the second point should be taken as x2 y2. Okay, now we have to plug in the values for x2 x1 y2 y1. Okay, the value of x2 is 6. We can plug in 6 for this x2 over here. Negative, the value of x1 is negative 1. Let me plug in the whole square. Positive, the value of y2 is 12. The value of y1 is 5 the whole square. D equals to square root of 6 negative times side will become positive, that is 6 positive on the whole square. Positive 12 negative 5 is 7, that is 7 square. Okay, D equals to square root of 6 positive 1 is 7, that is 7 square. Positive 7 square. D equals to square root of 7 square is 49. Again, now for this one also we have 49. D equals to square root of, when I add 49 and 49, I am getting 98. Okay, here we can get the value of this square root of 98 using calculator. I am getting a very long decimal, that is 9.89949, and it keeps going. Okay, according to the instruction we have in the question, we have to round our answer to the nearest tenth. When I round this value to the nearest tenth, I am getting 9.9. Okay, here I got the distance between the points of intersection of the given two curves. It is 9.9 units.